Well, I'm just like trying to. They make me rearrange my camera every day. It's not my fault that battle cruiser snuck in there.
Yeah, of course, completely by accident. You show up. All right, guys, here we go. So far, it's been a bit of a one-sided day. Let's hope we have some epic back and forth matches in the last two best of threes. In the bottom left side of Pillars of Gold, we're looking at the main base of the Australian Protoss player. It is Pro.
And in the upper right-hand side, our red Terran player from Team Liquid. This is Clem. That's I actually interested to see how aggressive Clem gets early. Like to see if he wants to just try and end this quick, or if he's just happy playing fairly safe back at home and like letting it go a little bit later into the game and just trying to win out there.
Yeah. I wonder if Probe has something special for us again, right? Because in the first game against Rogue, he's like, all right, I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to play a macro game. And it definitely wasn't all bad. It's just that the link drops, I think, really kind of took the juice out of his builds. And then he really wasn't able to get that tempo and momentum going that he was looking for. But then in game 2, he gave us a very fun cheese build where I really did have my hopes up at one point. So it could be that in game 1, he's like, you know what, we're just going to try to macro. Let's see if I have what it takes to duke it out with Clem in a long game. And if that doesn't work, maybe we can get some Void Ray proxy memes on one base in game 2.
I mean, Clem's lost to that once this tournament, right, against Geralt in the groups. So in the groups of the EU region, right, I guess separate tournament but same season, right? But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. You know, Pro play an honest game, see where he's at, get a feel for it, and if he feels like, no, you know, he outplayed me pretty hard, bring out the Void Rays. We've seen them have a lot of success lately.
Probe does get gunned down. I'd love to see it, Waddy. I love to see it. Clem so far obviously having a clean start, not losing any SCVs. We don't expect that kind of stuff to happen. Whenever it does feel like you're on top of the world as a Protoss. You're like, all right, this is basically my game to lose at this point. That's how much an SCV kill can matter. Clem even getting the bunker immediately as well. Say Pillars of Gold is not one of these maps where you're often super worried about that first adept shading to the other side of the map. But we can see that Probe is serious about this as he built the shield battery in the main base as well. So that adept is going to try to be as annoying as possible. I don't know how you feel about it, mate, but I actually don't like this build that much. I felt it was good when Terran players didn't really know the timings and didn't know how long they could stick around. But these days, I really feel that as a Protoss, you actually put yourself behind.
Yeah, to me, I just feel like it doesn't do damage anymore, right? You know, in this case, this command center's finished, the bunker's up. What's this adept achieving? And you've built 100 minerals back at home, a shield battery. For what? So this adept can come over and confirm that there's a bunker and a marine? Like, you don't get any information out of it or anything. Like, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm totally with you. Yeah. This has just been the way to go for a long time, and I've not seen for a very long time players getting anything out of it anymore.
No, maybe on like a submarine, I can see where the second Protoss unit shows up as well, and then it really does become annoying. Terran players can't mine up their natural, but this map is so big that Adept is going to get picked off. And it's not just the Adept, it's not just the shield battery, it's also the Chrono Boost. The initial Chrono Boosts are the most important Chrono Boosts for Protoss, right? So ideally, you want those to go in your Nexus so you can get the 2-base saturation going as quickly as possible. Yeah, I'm just not a fan.
Well, Reaper jumps in, finds a probe, man. It's already the little things going in Clem's favor, right? Yeah, this is an end of the world kind of scenario for probe, but you know, you jump in with the Reaper that's just trying to rescout and he gets an extra probe, maybe make this too. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just painful already for probe's point of view.
Yeah, this may not seem like if you're a casual StarCraft viewer, it's like, is this really that big of a deal? Doesn't the big fight matter? Obviously, the big fights matter more than anything, or maybe the initial medevac opening or the Raven. But these are 3 little victories that do really become one big victory at this point. Clem's economy is at this point better than Probe's economy, as he's only down 4 workers, but the 2 orbitals make up for it. His scouting has been absolutely perfect. His build order has not been disrupted at all. Yeah, you gotta love this if you're Clem.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Clem's very comfortable where he's at. He's had constant scouting. I do like that Probe goes Dark Shrine pretty early after Blink, so it looks very normal. But then there's a twist on it, right? There's that Dark Shrine instead of it just being, you know, the next step of maybe adding on Charge or adding on a Templar Archives and all of that. like this, I feel like that's the sort of way you might catch Clem out. He's not going to die to something super obvious. But if you can kind of lure him into him thinking, okay, I've got my normal game going here, and then hit him with something different, maybe that's the way forward.
Yeah, but if I'm Clem and I scout the Twilight Council when I did with my Reaper, so you're expecting a traditional Blink Stalker opening, and now you see the Stalkers as well, you're like, why does he not have 3 bases like 5 minutes into the game, right?
Yeah,
We know Protoss players who take it at 3:45 or 4 minutes sharp, so you can obviously say maybe he's going Blink Stalker into Colossi. It's a bit outdated, not a very good opening, but more often than not, this actually means that it's something among the lines of DPs, and Clem seems very ready for this.
He does indeed. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I like the idea from Pro, but in the end, it's probably not going to work out because Clem's playing pretty great so far. It's only 6 minutes in, but he's already shown us his strengths. There's a couple of Marines here just tracking these Stalkers so he knows where they are at. I mean, he's about to have stims, so Stalkers aren't exactly going to do much harassment in this game.
Nope, I don't think that Probe wants to get too adventurous. I think he was hoping that Clem would maybe, react to those Stalkers and somehow pull his units out of position. But the Raven and the Viking are looking for that Prism, because the Hellion did spot that Prism, right, on the other side of the map. When the Stalkers blinked forward, I think if Clem was really paying attention, he could have caught a glimpse of it. And this is actually kind of funny to see 3 Dark Templars being wiped in this close to the Terran units.
Yeah, now the Viking sees it as well. Clem is going to get a couple shots to already warn it away. That's already an extra win for Clem. DTs are just not even going to get a chance to go into the base. Maybe it actually helps Probe out, because if those DTs did try to dive in, they probably would have died without doing much. So at least now they're surviving. I mean, not that that's great, but it's something.
What I also wonder is what is Probe going to do with his gas, because at this point he's mining off 4 gases, right? But he's going to make a lot of Zealots. He's going to try to win the fight with Zealots as he does bleed out his first Stalker. Do we have some sentries? Like, yeah, we've got a couple of sentries. The problem is, Waddy, Clem's army is bigger and Clem's army is better because he's got +1 attack as well. Stim Bio is always pretty good against gateway units. There are some unique scenarios where, if the army sizes are small, you warp in 5 extra Zealots and they can look like 5 Hulk Hogans. The Prism does sneak in the main base, by the way. All right, this is kind of cool because this can actually spice up this game a little bit.
This is what Probe needs, something to start going his way a little bit. He does have auto turrets to help out as the main attack is coming in on the other side of the map. Tanks get sieged, they're going to get some pretty good starting shots, but the first 2 do get picked off. Problem is, the Bio can then chase down. Super batteries keeps things alive for a while. It's now going to fade away, though.
Oh my god, the DPs have killed so much. 25 SCVs went down, now battery is indeed running out. The problem is, Probe is missing those 7 or 8 extra Zealots when he still had the Immortals alive. That could have made the difference, or indeed 1 Dark Templar all along. But now the Dark Templars will get scanned, and even though Clem really has no economy left at all, I just don't know if Probe can ever get enough units out to deal with this Bio Squad, no matter how small it is.
Yep, there's not a lot of it, but the problem is 1 or 2 units at a time will just not do enough. And now obviously this third base, you're going to start losing probes. That's going to be your economy going down, and all the work you put in on the other side of the map is basically being nullified. An Immortal shows up, but I mean, the reinforcements of Clem are also on their way across the map.
Well, yeah, how many is... Okay, that's quite a few reinforcements. The 2 tanks are going to siege up. Interference Matrix lands on the Immortal as well. That's actually really smart. Otherwise, there is a chance you lose one of these tanks. You lose in the Marauder. Probe is really doing whatever he can. Warps in 1 more DTs, but now the Raven has shown up. And 47 army supply. It doesn't feel like much, but exactly like you said, 1 or 2 Zealots at a time. That's just simply not going to do it.
Really will not, as probes continue to go down. A few more Zealots do charge in. They will pick off a siege tank, which is something, but I mean, now Probe has got absolutely nothing left at all, and Clem will take a game 1. The Prism, the DTs, they nearly did enough to make it a winnable situation for Probe, but the problem still stood that Clem's army across the map was really strong. I do feel like Probe actually didn't need to push into the tanks initially.
Yes, buddy.
Yeah. If he hadn't done that, right, he could have just sat back. Super Battery comes in later, and that's way better for Probe, because then you do get an extra round of Zealots as well. Maybe it goes very differently.
Absolutely, because now it felt that the biggest part of the fight took place out of range of the batteries. And of course there are the tanks, and the tanks are scary. But if you're killing 27 SCVs, then time is in your favor, because you have 6-7 gateways, you're warping in 6-7 Zealots, maybe in your natural. And with the 2 Immortals, you have some good firepower, at least against the Marauders, even though upgrades weren't too great. that could have gone better. And I also didn't like the force fields. I didn't really see what those force fields achieve because he's force fielding right on top of the tanks. I guess he's owned the bio away a little bit, but like it looked really bad, right? Because the start just didn't go Probe's way. But I love how patient he was with the War Prism. And right when we didn't expect it anymore, suddenly 4 or 5 DTs show up in the main base. And it got excited for a split second.
Yeah, no, it really, really did. I like it, right? Clem definitely looked like the stronger player, but Probe had moves that said, I can actually take these games. I think maybe the big thing is maybe Clem even underestimated Probe a little bit moving now. He's like, yeah, I can't lose this now, right? And then DTs go like 30 workers, and you can absolutely lose that. So Clem maybe needs to tighten up there, but he did just look amazing initially.
Yeah, and also it felt that like even after the initial skirmish, a few too many times, like I know it's so tempting when you see like 5-6 bio units, you're like, all right, let's just get them. But it's actually better to let them just shoot at your nexus, let them shoot at a couple of probes, but then get 7, 8, 9 gateway units out. Because if it's 2 at a time, that's just not going to do it. Like a Zealot charges forward, gets 1 hit off, and it dies. And that was a real shame, right? Because he definitely got a proper amount of war pins off. It's just that they all came one by one by one, and it was never an actual army anymore.
Well, in the top right-hand side, fighting for his tournament live from Legacy Esports, this is Pro.
And in the bottom left side, perhaps had a tiny scare in that previous game, but it did look very good early on. Our French Terran player representing Team Liquid, it is Clem.
Well, game 2 where Clem, I feel like just has to do more of the same, really. Maybe, like I said, tighten up around the edges. But the thing is, the adjustment you need to make to not let that damage happen is so small. You just leave a little bit extra at home, right? So it's Probe that has the work to do here.
Probe is not going to do something super out of the ordinary as it seems, even though that is a quick scout, right? Like, but he's only on 1 gas, so I don't think this is really going to do something wild. I'd love to see him not go for that Adapt Chrono Boost Shield Battery opening, because, yeah, we kind of covered that part already. I think on a Submarine, maybe even on an Avid Dream, yeah, I still see it get something done every now and then. Look at this. I think Clem is like, wait a minute. Why do you have a Probe here so early? Oh, gonna get the kill. Doesn't get the kill. I feel like some strong Hawk vibes over here.
Yeah, just microing this Probe and being super annoying the entire time. Another SCV comes down. Probe will not be allowed to be any further annoyance.
We'll see if he does decide to chrono boost the gateway unit again, and he does. So then it's very likely that this Adept is indeed going to make its way to the other side of the map. Now, maybe because the Probe found a little bit of success. I really don't like that shield battery replacement, by the way. If you get Widow Mine dropped here, Marty, a couple minutes into the game, you're going to lose 7 probes guaranteed to a single mine shot.
Yep, that shield battery kind of chokes everything up a little bit more, makes it difficult to run away. It limits your options of how you get out of there, so I'm not a big fan of that one either, as he does see the Adept coming. Clem's already got a bunker on the way, and, well, we've already been through this in the last game, Roddy. Yeah. And on Ice and Chrome, it takes even longer for this Adept to get across, so even less likely that it's going to really achieve anything.
Yep, and because Clem knows that Probe is not being crazy greedy and doesn't build a shield battery or something, even the Reaper is here as well, so nope. Once again, this is not getting anything done. You force out the bunker, that's what you do, and that's about it. The Robo follow-up is very different on the side of Probe, though.
Yeah, this is a style that's not super popular, but you still see, players like Awesome, for example, is a big advocate for the Robo opener. It gives you a very safe opening, usually. We'll see what Probe does with it exactly. He could end up playing 2 bases here for a while and going like a faster Colossus route.
Yeah, I actually think it's a quick 3 base and then with a Colossus. So it's something indeed Harstem has done this build a couple times, and maybe not super relevant, but I know that he loves it. Papi Joe is a very big fan of the 3-gate Robo, and they get an insane economy. Like they're actually just like 16, 17 workers ahead. You see very fast Colossus, and I'm expecting him to go very quickly up to 3 bases as well. The problem with this build is that your army is super immobile, right? Because you have no blink, you have no Stargate units. So it just kind of feels like you can't do anything other than sit at home.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like a full-on defensive mode build,
Yeah.
right? So then you could kind of give Clem the map, and you don't want to give Clem the map. So I prefer taking the initiative. I prefer getting Blink up or Stargate, right? Keep track of things. Have your own control. This, to me, just lets Clem do whatever he wants. He's got that early Raven as well, and you know that's so good against Colossi.
It is. Now, it does seem that Probe is playing this out differently than the build that I had in mind, because he's taking his third and fourth cast. So I think we're going to see some Speedy Prism play, and I don't know if that's a Speed Prism Colossus opening or a Speed Prism Disruptor opening, but obviously a very wild build coming out of Probe in game 2. The build that I had in mind is with 3 gates as well, 3-gate Robo, and then they go 3 base, but since he's on 2 gateways, a Speed Prism Colossus opening it is, Waddy.
Fun. It's fun. I mean, this is something that Zest kind of still like doing, even around the time of Katowice. Like, every now and then he just opens with a Colossus, and, you know, you'd be surprised how much a Colossus can do in a mineral line. It surprised me when I saw it kind of murdering SCVs at points, so we'll see if we can find anything with this. It's a dangerous game he's playing, though, because one bad Matrix, you know, you don't lift the Colossus in time or something, and it's all downhill from there. You cannot lose that Prism. You cannot lose that Colossus. You got to play really carefully while looking for damage.
You know what I don't like about doing a build like this against Clem? If there is one thing that I think nobody is doubting when it comes to Clem's ability to play this game, is his multitasking. But I feel to get optimal success out of an opening like this, you need to be straight up out multitasking your opponent, drive him insane somewhere. Well, I think there are very few players on this planet that are quicker than Clem. So I think at that point, it's going to be harder for Probe to have a very clean game at home, right? Make sure his macro is on point, make sure the money stays low, then it will be for Clem, because, yeah, once again, Clem is incredibly quick. But we'll see how it plays out. The Colossus does get a couple of swipes off. Shooting at the Marauder is not really what you want. This is, so far, not the damage you're looking for if you're Probe, but maybe there's more success soon.
Yeah, 2 SCVs. That's not bad, but it's not everything. You kind of want a lot more than this for how much commitment you've made to it early. I mean, Clem's about to hit all those upgrades, Roddy, so it's getting to that dangerous moment where Clem might be like, cool, maybe I can move out here, and with my tank force, maybe I can deal with a, you know, a Colossus-based army across the map. If the tank's getting a good position, that's absolutely possible. Obviously, the biggest issue is just dealing with this Warp Prism, which right now is under attack. He just unload the Colossus, but a Viking here too, and this is scary. Obviously, with the Prism speed, it backs away, but now you're backing away with your harassment, opening the map for Clem again.
Yep, and the army of Clem, I mean, I feel that I've said these exact words on Pillars of Gold. His army is bigger and his army is better. +1 attack is already done. It's stimmed bio. There is no charge for the Zealots this time. So it truly all comes down to the Colossi. But that's, of course, when that beautiful Raven comes into the mix as well with an interference matrix. I would just drop the matrix on the Colossus, and then in no universe do I see Probe defending this Nexus.
Yeah. No, I mean, you matrix the Colossus, the tanks get sieged. I mean, it's just, he's warping in Zealots. There's no charge. This is not good at all. Here we go. Tanks get sieged up. The Prism goes on the Warp Prism. Sorry, the Matrix goes on the Warp Prism, and he gets another on the Colossus. That does effectively disable 2 Colossus from the fight. The Biostims in Roddy. It's a disaster for Probe. Everything is dying. The Colossus jumps out of the Prism to have no other units left to support it. Pylon goes down. No Warp in, no Colossus. And Probe types out a very, very sad GG as Clem. He just speedrun this